thing I like about shoes is that we all wear them. Have you ever got a pair of shoes? You ever walked in these before? Have you? Not made for walking. That's good. That'll preach. Man, stay right here, right? Have you ever gotten a pair of shoes and they were super comfortable, and so like there was something that needed to be done, and what did you do? Like if you had a car to fix, or you had to go like outside, or you had to clean something up, or like, did you take the new shoes off that you were really comfortable, or did you leave them on? Anybody? Like how many leave them on? How many take them off? Yeah, so I'm a leave it on person. So if I find a good pair of shoes that are comfortable, I'm like, yep. And then they last a day. So I'm like a day shoer type person. These are my favorite pair, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. Something else about shoes that's kind of crazy too. Every pair of shoes has kind of a unique purpose and a new unique style, a unique, even a shape. Like, have you ever put on somebody else's shoes before? And this is like, I know some of you who had a size 13. Someone had a size 13 shoe, didn't they, in this service, size 13? Yeah. So like, listen, paddle feet. Here's a size 13 right here. Like, so if I put your shoes on, like okay, I know they don't fit. But my brother's shoes are very similar, and sometimes, you just throw a pair of shoes on, especially growing up, and you find that some people really walk kind of weird. Like, you ever know someone that walks kind of pigeon-toed? And over time, when your pigeon-toed feet, like how you walk, your shoes kind of form to fit your feet, right? And so you put them on, and you're like, man, this isn't going to fit, this isn't right, and you just know something's wrong. So here's what I want to talk about. I just want to talk about, like, the shoes that I wear. Is that okay? I thought I was going to talk about my shoes, kind of. It's going to make some sense in a moment. Like, shoes have a purpose. Whether it be, these are kind of my running shoes. So they have a purpose for running. I do a lot of other stuff with them, but primary purpose is running. And then you have, these would be kind of my church shoes. Recognize those? And then over here is supposed to be my, what are these called? Mud boots. Notice the mud's still fresh. So all kinds of shoes, all kinds of purpose. Man, this is a workout. One of my favorite pairs of shoes is, I just call them my dad's shoes. These are Skechers. Whoever's making fun of Skechers. These were actually given to me a couple of years ago. But they're my dad's shoes, and they're so comfortable. I wear them whenever. And it's a workout walking around in those. Whenever, wherever I can. Dad's shoes are unique because they have a special role. Do you know anybody, just about anybody can be a dad? Almost everybody. Not anybody, but most people can be a dad. But being a dad is so much more than just donating some DNA, right? So the Bible says a lot about like how he wants me to wear these shoes. My dad's shoes, like how I'm supposed to wear them. He says, hey, I have to lead. I have to lead. And here's the crazy part about leading. Leading can be fun if people listen, if they follow. Like, I wish leadership was just, hey, just do this, okay. Would that be awesome? Like, that'd be the best leadership ever. Just do this, okay. I would sign up for that all day. So even if you're not a dad or you're not a mom, but you lead somebody, you understand that leadership is way more than just, hey, do this, amen. Leadership is so much more than that. So many different levels than just follow and obey. Leadership really means that we're called to serve, right? Called to serve those that are among us, those that we lead, our kids. If you're manager or a boss, and leadership means that you're called to serve the people that you're leading. And what that means is that you look out for what's best for them, that you make decisions that people don't always like, that sometimes you have to stand away from what everyone else is doing because that's what leaders do, especially a dad. And so leader means to serve. It means that you say, whatever I can do to make it best in these shoes for my kids, but no matter what shoes that you wear. Leadership means that you serve and you equip and you try to help your kids grow to be the people that you want them to be, and sometimes that makes things uncomfortable. An uncomfortable topic in our home is cell phones. Anybody? Anybody have the cell phone conversation with your kids? Even if your kids are 50, right? And you're 80, like you still have the cell phone conversation? I don't know. Get off your phone, or when's the right age they should have a phone? When is an appropriate time? No matter what everyone else is doing, no matter what every other church kid does, leadership as a dad, whatever place that you're in, means that you have to say, you know what? Me and my house, we decide to do this, even if no one else does it or whatever. Whatever that looks like, that's leadership. And sometimes it's tough to make those decisions. It means that you have to lead in clothes choices and friend choices and curfew choices and bedtime choices. And leadership can be hard, can't it? Because, at least for me, I don't know. I want my kids to like me. Anybody else want your kids to like you? Anybody? No one really cares. So I'm 47. I think I'm still 18. Don't laugh. I really do. I think I'm still as hip and as cool as an 18-year-old. Right? Yes, she said. But it can be tough because you go against the flow. You do what kind of no one else is doing. But that's leadership. That's wherever you are, you take a stand and you do what's best. I'm called to train my children in the Lord, Deuteronomy 6:6. The instructions I give to you, hey, teach them to your children. That never ends. Dads, if you're 80 years old, you never stop training your kids. It looks different. Like how my dad trains me today when I'm 47 is way different than it was when I was 16. But his job is still to help kind of equip me and train me as his son, right? That doesn't end. And so Deuteronomy 6:6, hey, whatever I give to you, teach them to your children. That means that as a dad, I have to set the example. And I fail at it so many times. That means it's supposed to be, hey, when hard times come and everything falls apart, I want you to watch how I handle this situation, and then that's kind of training. And so when we're driving the car and someone cuts me off, I'm supposed to say, man, that guy cut me off. That's not good. Those aren't the words that come out of my mouth. But that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be training first, live it first, and so they can watch how I deal with it. That's training, right? It's not just do what I say, but it's do what I do. And that's tough as a dad. It's tough as a person. It's tough as a pastor. Anybody else have a tough time with that? If you're teaching, leading, guiding, training, walking, if you're living, you're leading, you're training somebody. And our responsibility is to train by example, to live it first. That's hard. In training, it means that I'm supposed to remind my kids of God's promises. God says never give up. God says don't quit. He says that if you trust Him first in your finances, that everything else will come into play. God says that when you choose decisions that are right, even when no one does them, that you'll be blessed for them. That's part of my job, and it's not easy. It's not always easy. I'm called, this is probably the most difficult part, and this is for you too. We are called to love unconditionally. Unconditionally. And I'm talking 1 Corinthians 13 kind of love. 1 Corinthians 13 says that love is patient and kind. It's not easily angered or provoked. It's not self-seeking. It doesn't keep a track of a record of wrongs committed. It doesn't keep a memory of every time you've been wronged. And so the Bible says, hey, listen, love those. Dads, love your kids. Moms, love your kids. Love one another. And so that's tough because in our culture, the definition of love is more like of a feeling, isn't it? And so if you feel it, then it must be true. But God's definition of love is so much deeper. It's an action. Even when the feelings don't line up, God says just the same. Love, anyway. Be patient, be kind. Don't be easily angered. That's not easy. Don't be self-seeking. Don't keep a track of wrongs. That's hard. Sometimes my kids make me mad. Sometimes people make me mad. Sometimes I make you mad. Thank you for not saying amen. And just the same, God says to love. Anyway, be patient. So here's the problem. Here's the problem. In whatever shoe that you wear, whatever that looks like, I don't always lead well. I don't always train the way I should. And I definitely fall short when it comes to loving unconditionally. And so two things happen to me. The first thing I want to do is I want to take my shoes, my dad's shoes. They're still my shoes to wear. But I kind of want to take them off because I just feel like I have failed so many times. And to be honest, my wife is here. Monica is a way better mom than I am a dad. And so part of me often is like, you know what? She does way better momming than I do dadding. So I'll let her be momming, and I'll just kind of come over here, and I'll do dadding from the sideline and watch the whole thing kind of happen. And maybe the situation's a little different for you, but I think the temptation for all of us, no matter where we are in our life, is when the shoes don't fit comfortably, when they're not wearing right, when things aren't lining up like we think they should, when we're not following the path we know we ought to, our call, our pressure, our distress, if you will, is to just take the shoes off, put them aside, and then put on another pair of shoes. These are my sandals, and then just try to do something else and forget the fact that God gave you a purpose, God gave you something to do, God gave you something significant in your life that we can't just decide to toss away and put on. Like these are my sandals. These are like, I would call these my relaxing shoes. Babe, you got it. You got it. Go ask your mom. Where's my cell phone at? I got to call somebody. I got a meeting coming up. These are happening at church. We're building a building. Oh my gosh. I have to raise $1.2 million in 10 days. That's what I feel like. And so the temptation is to just take the shoes off and put on something that, for the moment, seems more comfortable than what God has called you to do and called you to be. The shoes we wear. Sometimes I can't help but compare my dad's shoes with somebody else's shoes. So these are my shoes. These are my Skechers in all their glory. Sometimes I look at other people's shoes. They're quote-unquote dad's shoes, and I want theirs. Like some guys are really funny. Some of y'all are just funny. And I'm thinking, why can't I be funny like you? You're hilarious. I want to take my shoes off, put your shoes on, and be the funny dad. Or sometimes some dads are like, they just make way more than I do financially. And so, their kids graduate or they get 16, you know where I'm going to go, I heard it. And here comes this beautiful car all wrapped up in a nice little bow. There you go, son, daughter. That's for you because I'm your dad. Right? And I'm like, you suck. And so sometimes I'm like, God, why can't you give me the financial package that you gave them? Because then I could buy my kids a car, a Lamborghini, or whatever it is that they don't need in the UP. I'm just saying, why can't I be in their shoes? Why can't I have their gifts or their talent or anybody else deal with this? And it doesn't have to be just dads. You can be a grandma or a grandpa or an uncle or an aunt, a coworker or a boss. I think we all deal with issues of wishing that we could be in somebody else's shoes, somebody else's struggle, somebody else's life place, somebody else's position, and we forget the fact that God gave us our shoes. Right? Amen. And that's hard for me. And so I compare. And so we all wear different shoes. Married shoes. I have married shoes. What would be my married shoes? I should better tread this lightly, buddy. Gosh. My marriage shoes might be... That's what I'm looking for, is my nicest pair of shoes on this stage. I'm like, these are my marriage shoes. These rock. Hang there, just talk to a neighbor. Pumas fit like a glove. Oh, more bounce in my step. She gives me more energy in my life, makes my life happy and makes me all sexy. Like, that's my wife, right? The alarm went off. Touche, dude, touche. So we wear marriage shoes if you're married. Called to live life together, Ephesians 5:31, man will leave his father and his mother, be united to his wife. The two will become one. He says it's a profound mystery, yeah. So in marriage, we're called to live like two of us as one. Not her life, not my life, but like a glove, like a pair of Puma's shoes together. That's tough. I fight for my independence. I fight for self. We get hurt, we get offended. The temptation is to take those shoes off. Put on the sandals. And sit back. I'm done. I'm not fighting for my marriage anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I fought one too many times. Here's the deal. There's other kinds of shoes I don't have time to go through, but let me just give you a couple words of encouragement. Can I do that? Here's the first one. Can I just speak this truth into you for a moment? You will never wear your shoes perfectly. You will never wear your shoes perfectly. Whether it be your dad's shoes, mom's shoes, husband's shoes, wife's shoes, boss shoes, whatever they are, you're never going to wear them perfectly. Here's the cool thing about shoes. The more you wear a certain pair of shoes, check this out, the more you wear shoes, the more you dig into them, the more comfortable they get. Amen. Right? Amen. Now follow this. When I was in the military, I got nice black leather boots. They told us to go in the shower, and at first it'd be really uncomfortable for a few days, but eventually that boot would kind of go and fit my foot eventually, right? This is huge. If you have learned a pattern of walking really awkward with your shoe is going to fit your awkward walk. Right? And sometimes you're going to go to the doc and he's going to say, hey, listen, you got to relearn how to walk. That means changing how your shoe fits. Are you following me at all? Listen, sometimes in our life we're making mistakes, we're doing situations, and we've learned a certain technique of how we walk, and we think that's how the shoe's supposed to fit. But God is really saying, I have a different path for you if you're willing to learn how to walk again in the right pair of shoes. Does that make sense at all? And so when it comes to your marriage, maybe you've made some mistakes in your marriage and you've walked the wrong way and you've got kind of a bad walk happening with your shoe, and it's not, you think it's fitting right, but the reality is God is saying, no. Like there's a different walk I'm looking you to take with the shoes that you have. It's kind of metaphorical, I know. But no one's perfect. No one has it together. And so, if I can speak this to you, learn to forgive yourself. Learn to forgive. You're not God. You'll never be perfect as a dad. You'll never be perfect as a spouse. You'll never be perfect as a leader or a friend. You just never will. So learn to forgive yourself. Learn to forgive yourself and to keep going forward. You're going to fail. I'm learning to be okay with it. Number 2, remember that we learn from our mistakes. The mistakes that you make as a parent, as a friend, as a spouse, as an individual, doesn't have to be your destiny. It can be a moment of truth that causes you to be a better person if you'll learn from the mistakes that you make. So learn from your mistakes. Be the best dad that you can. Learn from others. I mean, how many of you watched YouTube videos on like how to do something? Anybody? Yeah. So I built a patio last year. I'm like, YouTube it. If I have to do something, I couldn't find the oil filter in my F-150, 1997. It was like hidden. I had to YouTube it. Anybody? How to fix a car, YouTube it. So I'm just saying this. Sometimes we spend a lot of our energy, and rightfully so, trying to figure out how to be successful in some areas of our life, while in other areas of our life, we just think it's going to come together. And so as we learn how to be a better dad, a better parent, a better grandparent, a better individual, a better friend, put time and effort into learning to be the person that God made you to be in the shoes that He's given you to wear. Like, put effort into it. It isn't just going to come together. I think it's crazy that by the time your youngest kid gets to be older, like that's kind of when you've arrived as a parent. Isn't that insane? Your first few kids have most of the troubles with you because you're like, I'm just learning, Then by the last kid, you're like, chill. Just hang out. It's going to be all right. That's why everyone should be foster parents when you're 50 in this room. Because you got it together. Like you know the answer. Just go ahead and sign up. So learn from your mistakes. Learn, study how to be a better dad, how to be a better husband, how to be a better spouse, how to be a better boss, be a better friend. I want to talk about the last pair of shoes that I have, if I could. The last pair of shoes that I have that I want to talk about are these. These are my hiking boots. Is Jason Erickson in here? Where's Jason? Huh? Right, Jace? We went on 2 years. 2 so far, going on another one in September. I don't remember where it was, but up in Pictured Rocks area. Every Tuesday last year, and during that hiking trip, I put these on. I was so comfortable. When I go on a hike, when I go for a walk, it's so much more than just exercise for me. These shoes represent my time with God. It's my God shoes. Here's what I've learned, unfortunately through experience. I've learned that the more I neglect these shoes, my God shoes, the more I neglect my time with God in prayer and reading His Word and getting into who He is and listening to worship, and the more I neglect that, the more all my other shoes don't fit. The more I put God to the side, the more I just think, not now, Lord, the more my dad's shoes fall apart. My husband's shoes don't work right. Even my leisure shoes aren't where they should be. But if I focus first on God, if I put Him first, if I start every day saying, God, I give you today, I want to honor you, I want to live for you, and I get into His Word, and I don't just start in the morning, but I do get it in the afternoon and at night, right? You unfollow what I'm saying? The more I do that, the more everything else comes into play. It's my most important issue, but it's so neglected. And it is for me. As some of you guys know, I'm going on a sabbatical. This is why. If I don't get my God shoes on, I can't lead a church. If I don't get my God shoes on, I can't lead a family. If I don't get my God shoes on, I can't be the friend that I'm supposed to be. If I don't get my God shoes on, I can't be the husband God called me to be. The hard part is that there's so many other things that scream our name. Dad! Dad! Dad, 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 Dad. Hey, Dad, can you, Dad? Right? Fix this, do that. Can you do this, Dad? Can you do that? Hey, I don't know how to do my wife's voice. That's not so good. No. Hey, baby, I love you. You're so awesome. You're my knight in shining armor. What other things do you say to me on a regular basis? You're my Superman. Stuff like that. But it's easy to hear my wife's voice. One of the things she's really good at is doing something like this. This isn't bad, right? Hey, babe. Do you call me babe? Hey, sexy. Can you either, don't take me off the stage yet, can you either change your oil in my car, or can you change the tire? Did you see what she did there? This is smart. I don't know what's a name for it, but it's like classic no way out. She didn't give the third option, can you do nothing? It was either can you do A or can you do B? I never get a C. That's okay. But I hear my wife, I hear her voice clearly, most of the time. I hear your guys loudly. Music's too loud, music's too quiet, you're too long. No one says I'm too short. That's not true. One person did. God bless them. You mumble too much. I don't know. What else do you guys say? Anyway, I hear your voice. Don't say it. I hear your voice loudly. I look at a community center and I'm like, how are we got to get funds raised. We have to do this. And I got to get a sermon that's going to hit everybody. How do I prepare a sermon that's going to reach someone that's 90 and someone that's 2? How do I reach 90 to 2 and reach every single married adult, youth, grandma, grandpa, nephew, niece, aunt, broken leg, tuning my guitar behind me, person. I'm just kidding, go ahead. I mean, how do I reach everybody? I make no money, I make millions all within 45 minutes. Yeah, that's what I do every week. And I'm not saying, like, you all have your jobs too. I'm not saying poor Jason, right? No one gets that, right? We're not saying that? Not saying that. I'm just saying, and in all the voices that come, and in your life as well, in your job and in your family, and all the things that you want to do, recreation, it's easy to have 100 things distracting and completely forget the voice of God that simply says, child, I love you, and I want to spend time with you. And until we're ready to forsake every other pair of shoes and wear that shoe, we'll never be the person that God made us to be.
That's right.
We'll never be who God called us to be. I want to leave just 3 thoughts with you. First one is this. Never stop learning how to walk. You haven't arrived. I haven't arrived. Never stop learning how to walk in the shoes you've been given to wear. Never stop learning to wear your shoes properly. Learn how to walk in the shoes that God has given to you. Number 2, when you fail, and you will fail, don't toss your shoes away. God gave them to you. Wear them. When you fail, and you will fail, don't toss your shoes away. God gave them to you. Wear them. Number 3, don't compare your shoes with someone else's. Don't compare the shoes you wear with others. We all have gifts. We all have personalities. We all have different talents, bents, whatever you want to call it. But God made you. God made you to wear your shoes, not somebody else's. Whether that be your struggle, whether that be your place in life, whether it be the job that you're at, they're your shoes. Wear them, not somebody else's. And most important is put your God shoes on first before anything else. Life is just too difficult just to add them on. Put his shoes on first. Stand with me if you would. I want to pray for the men in the room. If you're a lady and there's a guy standing next to you, would you just put a hand on his shoulder? Just want to pray for the guys. If you're comfortable with that, just put a hand on his shoulder. Father, I pray for the men in our room. Lord, they live a difficult life. It's a difficult time. There's so much calling on the guys. Lord, today would you help them to know that you love them more than they can ever imagine. And that your grace is bigger than any struggle and any difficulty and any situation that they're going through, that your grace is sufficient. Lord, I pray for our guys, that you would touch them, that you would lead them, that you would empower them, that you would help them to be the person you made them to be in your grace, in your mercy, and in who you are. Forgive where it's needed, empower where it's needed. Break bondages, strongholds where they're needed. In Jesus' name, amen.